I don't really care how they label the train stabbings, whether it's a terror-related incident or not, and I don't see it as a plus point that one is described as a British national. Axel Rubber-Cabana was a British national. We have some British nationals who can't even speak English. Terror-related, gang-related, mental health issues, whatever the result is, we are living in a country that is less safe than it was 15 years ago. We have more laws and less police, and we have more people and less resources. We have a dishonest media and a tyrannical approach to government. We have an opposition saying what we want to hear, but really it's basically a revision exercise in what they should have done when they were in power. We have a capital city with violent crime and declining tourism. The Office of National Statistics can prove that. We have a basket case economy that's never seen any real repair work since the 2009 financial crash, and I certainly don't call bailing banks out and their bonuses repair work. We have a fractured family life since lockdown, and all because of the failings of self-serving politicians. Matt Hancock, who was groping his squeeze whilst telling us that we couldn't get married to someone who lived in another county. All because of these failings from every institution and every section of society, we are breaking down and people are noticing it. They might not be politically active and they might not take to social media to share it with you, but there are millions of people out there who feel like you do, miserable and down in the mouth. But after listening to today's press conference from Nigel Farage, there is a way out of this decline, and we have to take it. He's of the opinion that because the government is so shambolic, there will be an early election, probably as early as 2027. And fortunately, because Reform are coming at it from the bottom end up and nibbling away at the council level, uncovering all sorts of ridiculous spending costing millions and millions that could easily be saved, he's going to be in a position to be a government. He's setting his stall out to be a government. Now that takes more than pleasing sound bites and tweets and clickbait comments on social media. The thing with a lot of the competition, like the Rupert Laws of this world and the Ben Habibs, they're not under the spotlight yet. They've not had the blowtorch put to what they're saying because they're allowed to go on podcasts that are normally sympathetic towards the message, and they've never really been put under the spotlight because they're not big enough or important enough. Rupert's a one-man band. Ben started a party full of people who lost in a general election, a college that's been selected, not elected. During this period of time, Reform have got 950 councillors, control of 12 councils, 450 branches, 2,900 volunteers, and control of £20 billion worth of government spending at local level. So clearly, it's not a one-man band party like the media like to mislead you. This is something. This is something that's actually happening. And unless you break up that two-party system, nothing will change. It doesn't really matter how good Kemi Badenoch sounds or how good Robert Jenrick sounds in what they're saying. As I said in my written piece, that basically it's revision of what they should have done when they had the power base and they didn't do it. So we need to stop that happening again. I'm not afraid of Keir Starmer getting a second term of office. I'm afraid of people being sucked in by the Tories again because they are credible. They are an old established party, the oldest one in the world. And Jenrick and Kemi sound good. But why didn't they do it when they were in? You know, an example, the grooming gangs, the survivors from there. When did Kemi Badenoch do anything for them? She was the women's minister for a period in time. Did she mention them? No. So you've got to look at, it's not what they're saying to you now. This is just salesmanship. This is buy my double glazing, it's the best, even though there's nothing to prove that it's the best. These people are not genuine. Keir Starmer is cooking his own goose. He could be a secret employee for a party like Reform And the calibre of personnel that Reform's attracting is not just re-establishing a Tory party, he's actually establishing what the Tory party should have done during their 100 and odd years. Somebody said it's 200 years, I don't know how old they are, they're old. That's what they should have been. They've not been conservative. They haven't been conservative since they nobbled Margaret Thatcher. They've been like Tony Blair. Even David Cameron said, I'm the heir to Blair. Well, the heir to something is a continuation of a line, isn't it? That's what an heir is. So therefore he's continuing what Tony Blair wants. And nothing's changed. The big society was a socialist think tank idea that he put into practice. People who are genuinely conservative will walk away from the Conservative Party, like Danny Kruger did. And that's what Brexiteers were. They were genuine conservatives. And as Nigel said in a press conference this morning, Brexit has never been realised. We've not utilised anything. We've never pulled away from any legislation. We've kept with it. We're bonkers. We've got no veto. And we're still paying into other services that under other labels that the money goes to the EU. We have never recognised what Brexit could have been. People still blaming Brexit for the current state of the economy. The state of the economy is because we locked down for 2 years. We crippled ourselves. And what you've got to look at with the Tory government brought in legislation that created a situation with lockdown and restrictions and stupid money spent on plastic sheeting in chip shops and at checkouts that didn't do anything. You've got a government there, you've got a party there that set up a set of circumstances, however you want to call it, where wealth, big wealth, your Bill Gates level of wealth, got themselves 40% better off, while small and medium-sized businesses were crippled and closed down forever. And family life was ruined because people had different viewpoints on what was going on and fell out with each other. Our elderly were incarcerated for no good reason. It didn't need to happen. And they went along with it. And they signed us into the WHO. And they will carry on doing that. That's the Tories. Keir Starmer is reliant on Tory legislation to bulldoze us into a form of communism. That's what he's using. He hasn't had to change many laws. He's using what the Tories set up. That's my big worry, that people will get sucked in with the Tories again, because they're sounding pretty good right now. But everything they talk about, every single thing, and I've watched so many videos now, every single thing they talk about at the moment is something they could have done when they were in power. So why didn't you? Why didn't you do it when you had the power base? If you believe in it so strongly and you're being sincere, maybe it's because you're not sincere. And then you've got Larry Fink and Bill Gates, the first premier visitors to number 10. If that doesn't say lobbying works, I don't know what does. And that's the difference between having a capitalist society where people can work for themselves and own a restaurant or a cafe and own a little delivery business or be a self-employed plumber and work, to being a corporate interest, because corporate interests are very different to small businesses. And in fact, a lot of the legislation that's put into place to suit big business is the very thing that crushes small businesses. And there's 5 to 6 million small businesses in this country. They're our biggest employers. The small businesses are our biggest employers. And I don't know about anyone else, but when I ran my business where I had to have staff, I treated my staff like my daytime family. If they were short of cash, I lent them money. I didn't charge them any interest. Anything they wanted to buy from my business, they bought at what it cost me. I didn't put any markup on. I'll listen to the problems at work, because if they didn't have anyone to turn to, at least being able to talk to your boss, at least it took the weight off their shoulders. They were never left on their own with any problems they brought into my place. And that's synonymous with a lot of small businesses, because that's how it works. You're sitting down having your sandwich every day with these people. They are your daytime life. That was part of my life for 20 odd years. It was important to me that I got on with them and that we tried our best together, even though we live different lives away from business. How many small businesses run like that? Loads. And yet we've got this soulless man with a swinging brick for a heart, shaking hands with Larry Fink and Bill Gates first, and then shaking hands with China. and giving manufacturing away. We nearly lost our steel. If it wasn't for Nigel Farage and Richard Tice going to Scunthorpe, God knows where we'd be now. So what you've got to look at is there is an opportunity and a possibility to get out of this, because each day, no matter what you think, Starmer is getting weaker because he's losing support all around, and Reform is getting stronger. And this awful time that we're living through is a needed time for them to get their army together, get trained up, get ready for government. People like Danny Kruger are such a godsend in this, and we can do this. And hopefully Nigel's right about an early election, in which case, even all the people that don't follow politics, you don't have to follow politics to know you need a new government. All you have to do is look in your bloody purse. Look in your purse, see how much you had left this week to what you had left last year or the year before that, and know that you're getting fleeced on energy, fuel, and anything that you eat and drink. We're getting fleeced, and there's actually no need for it. That's the thing. It can be different.